In this tutorial I'm just going to show you how to use gradients and create the weird sort of landscape designs, the real sort of unusual contoured design. Now, we're using Photoshop CC 2015. You can do the basic same thing in many versions of Photoshop. Now, first thing to do, I'm just going to create a layer. So layer, new layer, because I want to put this gradient on that layer. So I'm just going to create multiple layer gradients on that layer. And just going to go to gradient tool, and there's the gradient I'm going to be using. Now this one's available on the Graphic Extras site, but you can quickly create something very similar just by using transparency that in, just to give, so you can see the transparent background there, as well as, so 100% stop there, obviously 0% there, and then you can just have black that point, and then obviously colour in the centre and black again at the edge. Creates a nice sort of depth to a gradient. So click OK. So I've got that layer. Now hold the shift out. I'm going to be using the over here the linear mode, and I'm just going to create a couple of lines. Hold the shift down so you can actually create just straight lines at a particular position. If you do it otherwise, you end up having them all going all over the place. And I don't want them to go over the, so you just hold it like that and just create a couple of lines, very thin lines, by just dragging it very, and then what I want to do is actually have a slightly in the centre, a slightly bigger gradient. So just stretch that line a little bit more than before. Right, so I've got that sort of gradient line now. That's a layer. So what you can do, and just drag that over. I'm just going to drag that over there, position it correctly, and then you hold the Alt down. And you can just drag it. Of course, you don't have to have it exactly in the same position, but I'm approximately there. And again, of course, what might happen, you might suddenly find you're dragging the line up or down, and you can, of course, shift the actual layer afterwards if you do have that sort of end result. Sometimes I do. Suddenly sort of jerks upwards, and suddenly obviously you have a white space at the other side. So right, once you've actually done that, and there's the actual design. I've actually noticed I've just got a slight gap there. So right, okay. I'm going to flatten that, so it's all done now. That's quite an intense actual gradient now. Of course, that would be a really great sort of background, super colourful, and you can also modify it as well. You can just go along and just go image adjustments, and then maybe use hue saturation, or maybe go to filter and good old camera raw filter. Modify the colour of that design. Now I'm just going to go with this sort of like golden gradient design that I've created. Right, next thing to do, just going to go to liquify, because I want to create a sort of weird distorted thing. Now I'm just going to go and select the forward warp tool. So select that. I'm setting the size of the document about 2000 by 2000. So obviously you want a fairly big brush tool. So I'm going to set that to 722. Of course you can set it whatever you want. And then what you just do, just go over there, and you can just warp it in a number of places, just warp it different directions. That's all different settings, of course. So now these ones obviously might not be exactly the same as yours, but these are sort of setting size, density, etc. Now I'm just going to continue using that warping tool. Actually a weird effect where it actually shows you the other design behind. Now you don't actually see that at the end result, so you can see the actual warping there. I can just drop that over there, and right, I think just about finished now. Just drag that over in that direction. You can see the general. Right, can really distort it, but you don't want to distort it too far, because you can break the design. So now, once you've done that, click OK, and there you've got the end result. Very intense, quite colourful contour, sort of line-based design, golden sepia colour, what you would call it. But of course, like I say, also you can of course recolour it at any point. And not only that, you can also, it's just a layer. So you can actually, what you can do at this point, you can say layer and duplicate layer. So if you want, you can just say create another layer, and then maybe I'm going to say transform. You can rotate it, say 90, and then you can actually combine it with background, sometimes creating some unusual colour effects, maybe nice stringy line sort of design as well. It's quite possible with these gradients, again using that, or with difference, which sometimes ends up in a real extreme result. Not always effective, but certainly a way of creating some more unusual, interesting designs. And of course, once you've actually created that design there, you can just then go back into the actual tool and make another modification, or go back, save it, and repeat the procedure. Hope you found this of interest. Thank you much.